Hi friends, I know it's been a while since I've done a resin tutorial, so here I am to show you this beautiful opal inspired resin painting. So here are all of the materials, and as always I will link them in the description box below so you can check out what I used. The very first thing I did was to mix my white glitters and my pearl pigment into 2 cups, and then I spread them all over my panel and mixed them together. So it looks kind of haphazard and messy, but in the end it ends up being a really cool starting layer. Just have patience and trust the process. I like to use a variety of different glitters so that it gives a piece a lot of depth and a whole bunch of different color shift. Here I'm adding on that pearl mixture, and then I am going to just use my gloved hands and kind of blend everything together all over the panel. And then I make sure to coat the sides as well. I didn't tape off the bottom on this one. I just plan to sand it when I'm finished, but I wanted to make sure that the sides had some color to them as well. And then once I am finished kind of covering the whole thing, it almost looks like icing, which is kind of funny. Then I take my heat gun and I just go over the whole panel with the heat gun to make sure that I pop all the bubbles and that everything kind of is nice and smooth, and that there won't be any points where that glitter kind of sticks up, because as you heat it, it spreads out and kind of, I guess, smooths out across the panel. So this is a look at how that first layer dried. You can see the color shift where it's kind of iridescent and green and gold, and I think it's really pretty. And then that pearl shift as well. And here's another close-up look, and that's why I like to use so many different glitters, because you can see the way they each kind of catch the light differently. So once that cured, I started the next layer, so it's about 24 hours in between, and I start by pouring clear all over the panel so that I have a base to work on. If you watch my cells and lacing video, I explain more in depth why I like to do that, but so here you can just see that I am pouring that resin on the panel and smoothing it out. I was getting down towards the end of my resin supply, so I had to scrape a little more than I anticipated, but here I'm just spreading it all over the panel. It doesn't have to be thick, it just gives you something for the colors kind of to disperse into. And so I mixed off camera. I have a green, a pink, a blue, purple, and a powdered pigment gold, and that's what I'm going to be using to add the color here. So now that my layer is prepped, I started with my white, and then I just kind of took the different colors I had and did an abstract pattern all the way around them. And something to note is wherever these colors kind of intersect, that's where they're going to interact with each other when you apply the heat and the lacing starts. So you can see here I went in with my heat gun, and as it heats up those colors, they spread more into that clear, and I like to add white because it gives some really pretty contrast into all those colors, and I'll show a close-up at the end of the really cool effects that gives. But the same thing with the gold, it gives kind of a, like, if you work with alcohol ink, you know how the gold sometimes kind of seeps through the other colors. That's what using the gold powdered pigment is doing here, and when I show the final piece I'll explain that a little more. But so here I'm just adding my heat, I'm tilting, kind of figuring out where I want to add more colors, and this is the fun part. So the glitter layer is just the base, and then here is where you go in with all of those pretty colors and add all of the effects. So here I'm just finishing up, adding that heat, adding little bits of color if I think it needs some, and I will show you the final piece in just a minute. I absolutely love this picture. It shows the gorgeous color shift in the gold with that metallic extra sparkle that it gives, but it also shows how the glitter shows through the other colors, how the sunlight brings out that sparkle and that iridescence, and how the opaque colors on top, you can't entirely see through them, but that it's some places where the clear was left alone, everything kind of comes through, and it's just so pretty. I like to call this an opal inspired piece. It's a little bit more colorful, I think a little bit bolder, but with the iridescence and the color shift, I just think it turned out so pretty, especially in the way that the sun brings out the metallic nature of all the pigment. But that is the whole process for you. I hope you enjoyed watching, and give me a thumbs up or leave a comment below if you liked how this video turned out. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more of my art, go ahead and subscribe. Bye, guys.